Oh, yes! This is the first episode of Rory Reviews. Newt has joined me just for the intro. I'm assuming he might disappear in a second. Are you going to help me? Are you going to do the intro? No? Okay. Right. Are you going to do the intro? Do you want me to count you in? 3, 2, 1, go. Right. So on these episodes, I'm just going to pick a different movie. It could be something that I grew up watching, or maybe something that someone suggested to me that I should give a watch, or something that I've just recently kind of stumbled across. On today's episode, I'm going to be looking at the original Candyman.
Candyman, you don't have to believe.
Thought about doing Halloween because it's one of my favorite movies ever. I thought about doing like Friday the 13th because then I could do the whole franchise. I even contemplated doing something like a little bit more recent. The more I was thinking about it, I wanted to purposely pick something that I haven't seen in a long time. And quite often, I will misremember movies. So I was online and I saw the trailer for Jordan Peele's remake of Candyman. And the more I thought about it, I thought I don't really think I remember accurately the first Candyman movie. Popped it on. Turns out I don't remember it accurately at all. I think what's happened is I've watched all the Candyman movies and just squished them together in my head. Because when I rewatched this one, I realised that Candyman is barely even in it. And I thought he was. I thought he was in like every second scene. Straight away, like one of the coolest things was seeing that original TriStar logo come up on my screen. I felt like a kid again. And then I started thinking, what age would I have been when I first seen this? I think this came out in like 1992, which means by the time I was able to rent it from a video shop in Ireland, I probably would have been about maybe 10 or 11. I remember really wanting to rent this out because at the time I'd seen trailers on various other videos and then I'd heard loads of people in school talking about it. And that to me is like one of the coolest things about this story is it has like a mythology and it has something in it that people can say that they've tried at home. So the whole looking in the... It's a hard word for me to say with this accent. Looking in the mirror. Mirror.
What's behind the mirror?
Into a reflective surface that you might find in a bathroom. And saying Candyman's name repeatedly in the movie meant to summon him. And you would get, when I was a kid, you would get a lot of people in school saying that they'd done it and stuff like that. So it's like one of those movies to me, like The Exorcist and the Blair Witch Project, where you go in with this kind of pre-built, almost hype. And then when you see it play out on screen, to me, it makes it scarier.
The manager of the National Theatre in Westwood says that there indeed are at least a dozen people who faint or become ill during every showing.
Then it really is, because you've already got these worries in the back of your head. So I think that's what happened when I was a kid and I watched it, because I remember being really scared by this, and now when I rewatched it, it still is a scary movie and there's a lot of good stuff in there, but it's totally different from what I remember. For anyone that's not familiar with it, the first movie follows, it follows two, but mainly kind of one female protagonist, and she is like a grad student in university and she's writing a paper on urban legends and mythologies. As she's doing an interview, she comes across this character of the Candyman killer.
Reading the daily horrors of their lives to a mythical figure.
There's some really nice stuff in this in terms of like, you don't really see a lot of Candyman. You have a lot of people talking about him. To me, that's always the best thing, is like the beauty for me of The Shape or Mike Myers is people talk about him.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes. The devil's eyes.
Like he is this demonic thing, like he is this kind of act of God. And obviously he doesn't talk. And it builds up the kind of mystery behind this character a lot more, because you kind of think, well, are these stories an exaggeration? Are they all true? Do they only know half of how bad he is?
The legend first appeared in 1890. He was attacked, mutilated, and burned to death.
And that to me is one of the best things about Candyman, is all these scenes where people are talking and recalling these stories of what he's done and how he's killed people just build up the character a lot more. And I think that's why when I remembered it, I remembered a lot more than you actually see in the movies, because that kind of mystery or the backstory of the character was all in there. As she starts researching, she starts investigating, she finds out about the story of these a recent killing that kind of took place in this set of apartments, which are very similar to her. And there's a really nice kind of like, almost like a class system or like a social commentary going on here, because she lives in an identical set of apartments, but she's obviously a kind of a very well-to-do white female, and she's married to a university lecturer as well. And then just across from her is an actual identical set of apartments, but it's in a more kind of rundown neighborhood. It's predominantly black. It's a lot more poor. And for me, this was cool because it was like the first time that as a kid I'd kind of seen not necessarily like black characters depicted on screen, but that kind of side of like African American culture depicted on screen. And I didn't know, like later on I would get massively into movies like Friday and Next Friday and Friday After Next and Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
I wish you was sleeping right now. I'll knock you upside your head with a left hook, make your ass wake up and take out that damn trash.
Do we have a problem? Huh?
And then I would fall in love with like Dave Chappelle and Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor.
I'm not white. Oh, it feels like it. Ah!
Spider-Man bruised on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses. But you don't know that because you're a big Barry White looking motherfucker.
My dick looks like Morgan Freeman in the 90s.
And it was a type of comedy and a type of culture that I would enjoy watching so much. And I don't know if it started with this, but this definitely kind of helped kind of open my eyes to the fact that there was, you know, all movies didn't just have to be just white dudes. And I think it's kind of followed the whole way through. What I enjoy watching and kind of like what I find funny and what I find interesting. And I think maybe Candyman kind of did help with that. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it just scared the shit out of me. But it was the only time that I can really remember seeing like a black main character as well. Like in my youth, it's the only time that kind of stands out to me. And he's iconic. Like he's still carried through. So yeah, as she investigates it, she eventually does the thing that you shouldn't do, which is almost summon Candyman by performing the looking in the mirror and saying it 5 times. Candyman. Then what happens is just a series of killings happens, and you're never quite sure if it's the main character that's doing them or if it's actually Candyman doing them through her. And it's kind of left like a little bit ambiguous the whole way through. And that's what I really like about it. And I think that's how I have really misremembered it, is it's a really good story, but it's told like a little bit different. I should say the whole way through, the score is awesome. Like even from that opening kind of theme and that kind of font when it comes down at the start, you just know that you're in like a proper horror movie. And so I finished rewatching it, and it was actually better than I remember. It was more of a movie than I remember. Like it was a bit more, that's not me slagging off horror movies. It's quite often, I know what I'm getting with a horror movie. Like it's got tropes and it's just like, it's almost like play by numbers. And when a movie kind of switches that, or a movie's super cinematic, or a movie's got like an excellent score or some really good acting or some really clever dialogue, it's got some good social commentary, then suddenly to me it just stops being a horror movie and it's just a movie. And that's what I misremembered about Candyman, is it is just a really good movie. So if you've not seen it, I would highly recommend you sit down and watch it. I don't even know, was this a review? Maybe this doesn't work at all. But yeah, I'd highly recommend that you give it a watch, especially if you're a fan of Jordan Peele's produced movies and his directed movies, and you're looking forward to the reboot of the franchise, or the reimagining of the franchise. I would definitely recommend you go back and you watch these Candyman movies the whole way through, just to get a feeling kind of what the character was and where he was coming from. So there's some really, really nice sequences that kind of stick out to me as well. The opening sequence is just so Halloween. Like I love it to bits, where you've got like a stereotypical teenage couple. I don't know if they are a teenage couple, like late teens, maybe early 20s, and they're going to indulge in the old forbidden sexual activity, which we all know in horror movies is a terrible idea.
Number 1, you can never have sex.
And for some reason they decide that it'll be like a little bit of a turn on if they try and summon Candyman. And you've just got this really nice suspenseful death sequence, and it just jump starts the movie perfectly and then goes into the story after. So you get that nice initial like, holy shit, don't fuck with Candyman, and then it's like, now we're going to tell you why you don't fuck with Candyman, and then we'll bring him back later on. And there's a couple of really nice bits involving like the coolest little kid ever, which almost becomes like an unofficial like little guide to this other culture that she's not familiar with. It's just generally just a really good watch. I highly recommend it. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. If you enjoyed Candyman, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Jump in the comments below. You can support me on my Patreon. You could suggest movies to me on my Patreon as well, or just suggest them in the comments below. Don't forget to kind of like and subscribe, share the video as well if you can, and hopefully you've enjoyed this, and hopefully now you all go away and you'll give Candyman a watch.